Ooh, I've never heard it do that before.
Yeah, and see, instead of a clock, it has the timer, 10 seconds, so we know in 1 hour it'll be.
Does it do that noise? That's good.
Cool.
Okay, we're in here. Oh, there we go.
This Phil.
Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Hi, Phil. Hi, Becky.
It's Becky.
Hi. Happy you could come. I don't know who Apple Pies is.
What?
There was a person named Apple Pies.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I see it. Don't know who that is.
Oh,
Hi, Harold.
Bob for apples.
How's your mom doing?
Oh, well, she's doing okay, but she'd like to get out of where she is.
Yeah, I bet.
Give up her leg a bit. If you felt like going up to visit her at Seaview, she'd love to see people. She loves.
Yeah, I've called her, but I haven't gone to see her.
Yeah.
I'll call her again and make a plan.
Yeah, she'd love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Should do that.
That's all the different people.
I can scroll through them.
Terry.
Hi, Aunt. Hi, Aunt Terry. Happy you came again.
Hi, Ernie. I'm working, so I am going to be on mute.
Okay. Joyce and Neil. iPad 2. Wait a couple minutes, let people get in.
Yeah, hello again. I'm gonna mute because I'm doing a little project work here in the kitchen. So.
Oh yeah, just happy to see you coming back.
Yeah, I've got to wrap it up, right? I've seen the first 3, so we've got to wrap it up.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up.
And the boat goes in the water tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be up to Gloucester in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, awesome. Just a couple more minutes. Make sure everybody gets in.
Just wanted to say hi. I don't know if you said anything earlier, but I was unmuted, so I didn't hear anything. But, hello. Good to see you.
How you doing,
Hi, Phil.
How's Marilyn?
She's good. She's right here. She's going to watch too.
Hey,
Hi.
Marilyn. Good to see you.
Hi.
What a fun thing this is. We have a live audience tonight.
Yeah.
At least an audience of 2.
Yeah, that's a very small live audience, but we have never done that before.
Right.
Usually we make Mary Kay and Jack sit in the other room.
Yeah, so if we hear any echoes from the peanut gallery out there, any bottles get thrown at us or anything.
Yeah, tomatoes.
Yeah, we didn't have the chicken wire.
How about the flushing of a toilet? I had a big Zoom meeting with about 100 people there a couple weeks ago, and about half of them were blank with just their names. Somewhere, all of a sudden, at an inappropriate time, I heard this toilet flushing. I said, well, we'll just ignore it and go on. You can have a chuckle about it now. I obviously didn't then. I was an MC. MC in a fundraising event.
All right. Oh, Jim Witham made it home. Hi, Jim. You made it home? Holy cow. Maybe we could have made it back to Essex.
Maybe. Where'd Mary Kay go?
I have no idea what happened to Mary Kay.
She might have got us dinner.
She probably got us dinner. She's
She's
good.
clever that way.
She really is.
All right.
All right, we're just gonna go ahead and share our screen here.
Hey, Roy. See you there.
Get
How you doing?
started. Present. Okay, so you might notice that we are in a slightly different venue tonight. We were out
Can you see us?
sailing. We can't see us, they can. We were out sailing to meet the shallop that was coming into Gloucester, and as
Mayflower shallop.
The Mayflower shallop, yes.
Not just any
No.
shallop. It's like the shallop, the Mayflower shallop.
So we were on the Ardell and we hit the dock at probably 6.
And we did see the shallop out there. It was a speck about that big on the horizon.
Yeah, it was really far away. Couldn't see any details.
Shallops are generally slow.
And small.
Oh, that wasn't that small. It was just a slow shallop.
Looks
So-
pretty small up there.
Yes.
But
yes. Late.
but we were out sailing to meet it, so we just got back to the dock. So Maritime Gloucester, who is the Ardell's partner, was kind enough to let us use their space to do this talk tonight. So big thank you to them for that. And luckily they have a beautiful wall of half models to be
By
our
Brad's story.
backdrop. Oh, those are all by Brad?
Yep, who we visited last night.
Yeah. So
So
it's good. It all comes together. It's a community. And we're really fortunate to be a part of this. So as always, this is a part of the Mass Cultural Council Traditional Arts Apprenticeship, and we are so grateful. This is talk 4 of 4 for now.
5.
4, but it's 4 of 4 on the
Yes.
shipbuilding museum side, but we did another one otherwise. But this is the last one of the season. We gave ourselves the summers off so we could focus on sailing the Ardell and doing all of the summer season stuff. And then we'll resume again in the fall. Then it'll turn into a bi-monthly talk, which we're hoping will be in person rather than on Zoom.
Maybe
with-
with a Zoom component.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a Zoom component, but with all of the COVID restrictions lifting and how much more fun it is to have a live audience, we're hoping to be able to go more in that direction.
But I'll still wear my new COVID 2021 tie.
Yeah, my brother was making fun of me the other day. He said it looked like I was wearing a bolo. And I was like, oh, a bolo. It's fancy.
Okay.
All right, so back into boats. So today we're gonna really focus a lot more on the Beal. We've talked a lot about how the design process works and getting inspiration from other boats and drawing the lines and the construction drawings, but we haven't talked about everything else that we can do and that we have been doing to prepare for this project. You don't just draw a picture and then start building the boat. There's a lot more that goes into it. So you have to start thinking about, like, now you've drawn this construction drawing, and in this drawing, you have drawn out your frames and what you think the futtocks will look like, and you have all the dead wood in there, and
You started with the plan,
you started with your plan, and you drew
preservation plan.
your preservation plan, and you drew
We're
all
not
these
really building
lines.
it.
And you're not building it, but you're rebuilding it. So how are all these pieces actually going to go together? And what do you make them out of? So we have the Beal and
In all its raging beauty.
all its beauty. So she is what we like to call stabilized in the creek at Burnham Port. And she's there and she's not going anywhere. And we have a lot of
She's going
opportunity.
somewhere.
Well, not yet.
Yeah.
We have a lot of opportunity to look at what we have. And we have to gather the materials to make all of this
And we
happen.
are going to have a big event when she does go somewhere. We're going to have a bunch of people come down from the Whale Research Centers in white suits, and we're going to have shipwrights, and we're going to have people with the clipboards and historians, and we're going to do a real honest to God Beal necropsy. and we're gonna study the boat as we prepare to rebuild it or take it apart, to prepare to rebuild it. And through studying the existing boat and the what needs to be replaced as we dismantle it, we'll learn and document what we have. And that process of documentation is incredibly important in any preservation project, because that whole documentation is what you started with when you're trying to repair a boat. Will help to make it so that anything that we do can be, the history that's there can be studied, and then it can be, if we make changes, that can be unchanged in the future if they want to. And also we can learn about the life of the boat through the hull, just like you can learn about the life of a whale when whale washes up on the beach and they do a necropsy, which is what we're going to do with the Beal. They slowly disassemble the whale, and they might find teeth from a great white shark where it bit into the side of the whale, and that how it affected and how it changed the life of the whale and made the whale grow. And we're going to look for those teeth in the side of the Beal, or different aspects of its history that can be recorded only through the studying of the carcass, which is, as you see,
kind of a but through this experience, a lot of the information about how boats get together that Harold's been showing me have been based off of boats that exist. And it's, we look at the drawings and we make the plans, but when he's trying to explain to me how it actually works, he brings me into a boat and he says, look at this. This is how it is. So it makes sense to, as we take apart the Beal to rehabilitate it, to fix it, to really document that entire process is going to be valuable. So when you're going to embark on any of these projects, you need a lot of wood. So I found myself a handsome arborist back in 2019. And I don't know if you want to call it luck or fate, or I was just looking for my own advantage, but he's great. And he works for Iron Tree Service out of Beverly now. And he goes out and he takes down big trees. So as he's taking these trees down, he's got everybody in the company looking out for locust and oak, or like really clear pine, stuff that we could use. So he sends Harold and I text messages like this, just pictures of his tape measure across and trees standing. And Harold has been telling me, as well as Jack, to start looking for the pieces of boats inside the trees. So I like this, this image I got, and this is from the Timber Merchant's Guide from 1823. And it's just showing an example of how, like, this wood, you don't cut it to fit. You don't have wood big enough to decide you want to make something and then like cut the piece into it. The piece already exists inside that timber. And when you're taking it down, you want to have these things in mind. And when you're milling it and getting ready, you want to have these things in mind. And it's funny seeing Harold look at a tree and go, oh, I know what that's for.
Yeah, that's basically what you do is you look at the tree and you see parts. I like to think much like a butcher walking through a barn sees pieces of meat.
Which is a little more morbid. So this is Jack and I, and we're at Iron Tree. We're picking through the log pile, and we found some enormous locust. And then, oh, is this supposed to be my video? Here we go. And this is them delivering it. This is actually a really massive oak tree. So he comes on the weekends, he donates his time, and they donate the equipment and the wood from the takedowns. And that tree, I don't know if it does it justice how big it was. Full length of the truck, so we should get some really great stock out of that.
And she's got it sped up a bit.
No, this one's real fun. I just, I cut out the whole part where he picked it up and put it down because the load was so much.
It's a pretty heavy piece of wood.
Yeah, he really maxed out the machine on that one because he's trying to get us the length so we have that full length, which is, we're really grateful for. It's awesome. Oh, keep going. So Harold had injured himself, if you've been following these talks, in the process of milling down all the old lumber. And this whole area at the beginning of this process was clear. He had gotten through just about everything. And this is our pile now, and you can see the mill in the background. So we're hoping that as soon as Harold gets well again, we're gonna put him back to work.
Back on the sawmill.
Right back on the sawmill.
But I gotta get better first.
But he's gotta get better first. And we'll help him out the best we can with all of our young brawn that we have. And then as we get these trees, they turn into lumber. And much like the old shipyards in Essex for hundreds of years, Harold's lawn is being completely taken over by boards, and things get cut down and they get stacked up to dry, and it's everywhere, and we need a whole lot more of
It's in
this.
the creek, it's in the river, it's in the yard. Basically, when you can't see any grass or dirt, you'll have enough to think about getting started.
And we started making some trunnel stock too. So
We can thank Phil.
yes, thank you, Phil.
And Bruce for.
Yeah, and Bruce, thank you guys. That's been.
That's the edges of the giant logs that you see there. We can be careful that when we see a piece in the boat, if we see something that's trying to get the most out of every log, sometimes we wind up with 1.25 inch pieces, which we make into trunnels.
And for any of you, I know, Terry, you probably don't know what a trunnel is. Trunnel is short for tree nail, and they're wooden nails that hold boats together. So a lot of the boats aren't fastened with any type of metal. It's just wood on wood, which makes for a really good seal. And then we've also started to acquire all of the bronze. Bronze fastenings. If you're not using trunnels, you're using bronze. It doesn't rust, and
it doesn't deteriorate the wood around it.
It doesn't.
And those are 4-inch 24 screws
Oh, I
and
can't go
6-inch
back.
24 screws. And there's Katie had a handful of 1-inch washes, which are frightfully expensive, but they're the material, the best material we can use. And oh, look at all that more stuff. 6-inch 24s.
Yeah, there's
and,
a lot of stuff.
Massive pieces of bronze and massive pieces of wood. And it should last a long time. And
thank you for the donations that have gone into this project. A lot of that has gone to these fasteners. Just the material cost alone is going to be a lot, and it's a huge help to start getting
helps get us going.
Yeah, help us get going on that. So the other thing that we've been doing is in the preservation of a vessel, you really have to start looking at the history of the vessel. And so this is
some of the stuff.
Yeah, some of the
mess that we've accumulated.
and
with the help of fantastic people.
Oh, there's a bell ringing.
I think there's a train coming.
So I've gone through this box and some more of it, reading through everything everyone has done, or some of the people have done with the Beal over time.
Lists of owners and yeah, I mean, different, the Booth Bay Harbor Historical Association and
Mystic Seaport,
Mystic Seaport and
lots of individuals.
number of previous owners and articles and books and you know, it just goes on and on. This boat has connected connects a lot of people together, and anything that lasts 110 years now. 110 years next July 7th, I think, is and that has been in almost constant use. People just see it in many different ways and many different lights, and connects them together, and so you try to keep as much of that, write as much of that down as you can, and it leads to boxes and boxes and boxes of photographs and notes and stories, and going through all of that is a breathtaking amount of work. So
Yeah, so I've started to kind of scratch the surface on it. We intend to get the Beal on the National Historic Register, and this not the first time that someone's done that. When it was at Mystic Seaports, they attempted to do it, but then they actually sold the vessel before they went through with it, which gave us a good start on a lot of the information that you need. So it's really important to keep this.
Yeah, Jeff Jones owned it down there, and he's the one who really did. Jeffrey Jones gave us an enormous amount of material, and he really got it very close to getting the landmark status before he sold it.
So we wanted to share a little bit of that material with you guys. Going through all of it would take us way longer than this talk, but thought it was really worth it to see what other people have done. So this is a picture of the Beals. This was actually taken out of the Beal itself, out of the Sylvina Beal. Came right off the boat. And so these pictures were taped up on the wall, and we figured that they needed to be saved and preserved. But then we also have the Beal family photograph. So this is Sylvina and Charles Beal and their children here, which is just, I think, beautiful to see. Like, these are those people, and this boat was built for them in 1911. And that's where this all started. And then here we have, whose notes are these again?
Jeff Jones's notes.
This is Jeff Jones's notes, and this goes through the ownership up till 1981. And there's also some other really interesting information in here where they tell you the crew went from 12 to 6.
1911 to 1914.
And
12 it was probably running as a seiner, actually working offshore seining, and when it went to 6, it was probably starting to change the methods of fishing.
Then we have that it was sold to Seacoast Canning Company of Eastport, and the crew went from 6 to 2. And that's particularly interesting to us because Harold likes to run a boat with himself and one crew. And this shows that that's definitely possible. And then that says changed freight, which I'm not sure.
Starting to do more freighting.
Yeah. So
and what they did was they were using it for as more of a carrier, carrying the sardines versus catching them.
in 27, we have the oil screw from gas screw, still 60 horsepower engine. Then in 1930, seacoast canning moves to Lebec. And then in 1931, the crew changed to one. So one person was running that boat and a 100 horsepower oil screw was put in. So they're talking about these changes in how many crew it took to use it and the engine power. And then we have crew of 2, crew of 1. Seacoast Canning Company becomes RJ Peacock Company. In 1939, they got a radio. It's crazy to think, from my perspective, that they operated for all that time, and then like that was this point where they finally had a radio to talk to other boats. And it goes through a couple of the other things. What I think is really cool about this whole thing is that this boat worked and it worked and it worked. It was doing canning and fishing and freight. And then in 1981, it was finally
70 years.
Yes, 70 years. Finally, in 1981, it was sold and refit for a passenger vessel at that time. And then it worked as a passenger vessel from that point until really recently.
Yeah.
So this boat had a long, healthy life that we are just extending. To be able to keep that list going is a really
well over 100 years of active working service. How
Yeah.
many trucks do you see on the road that are 100 years old right now?
Hey, Katie,
yeah.
I noticed that it was sold to the West Coast for a limited period of time. So she went through the canal, and I mean she took a long distance. I presume unless she was sold to an owner out there.
The one that went to the West Coast was the sister ship, the Helen McCall.
Okay.
And she was built a couple of years before the Beal, and she also had a working life of over 100 years, which
Okay.
2 sister ships have had that kind of a working
Yeah.
career, built by Frank Adams. It's a pretty astounding record. I mean, to have one boat last 100 years is almost unimaginable, but to have 2. And I think she sank, the Helen McCall sank when she was just over 100. And what an amazing thing.
So she had so she had ownership that was out in Eureka, California. Then, basically, that's it. According to this list,
It says Eureka on here somewhere.
Yeah, I think it might have been owned out there,
Yeah,
but
here.
it didn't actually. I don't think the
it
Beal.
never got out there. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah.
So moving on are some of the pictures that we got from.
After she was rehabilitated into a passenger boat.
So that one is from her rehabilitation. I really like this article from 1949. The sardine fleet ties up here after a good fishing season. And this is a beautiful picture here at the Beal.
You can see her light, floating very high without any fish on her.
Yeah, and the article goes through to talk about the sardine fishery and how lucrative it was, and the Beal's place in that. And then we've really been looking at these different pictures of like light versus loaded. So I'm gonna move us. So this is the Beal loaded down, which is a little hard to see. It was a very, very old
Deck is
photograph.
about an inch above the water.
Yeah, back here it looks like they're probably swamped. Like it's crazy. Mm-hmm. And then this is the Beal light.
That's sailing her up the river on her most recent sail.
Her most recent voyage. On the way to where she is now. And you can see how tall she sits. And in this one, it's completely bogged down. So that perspective of how a boat changes depending on what it's carrying and what it's doing is really interesting to us as people who are trying to maintain the integrity of a boat. Is we don't want to change it too much, but like, where is the boat's natural state? And that depends on so many different things. Here's one of the early pictures of the Beal as
After
a
it was refit, yeah.
as a windjammer.
We like that it doesn't have the lifelines and stanchions and stuff on it yet.
Yeah, did they have those same regs back then?
Yeah, they had to put the lifelines and stanchions on before they started carrying passengers.
And then these pictures, when were these from?
1980, I believe, right before she was rebuilt into a windjammer. She was up at Billings, and Maynard Bray took those pictures and sent them. And she was had quite a bit of work done to her. A number of frames and planks replaced, and
here you can see the double sawn frames pretty clearly. And then something that I thought was really interesting was she had twin screws at one point.
Twin propellers.
Twin propellers. So
and
there's one here and there's one on the other side.
And that rudder is still on her, as is that giant steel plate bolted through the aft of deadwood to try and hold it together. Evidently, it worked pretty well. I mean, and these are the kind of things when we get into doing our necropsy, we can look at different repairs and how well they held up and what they did, and may not repeat the work or try to save it in terms of for the vessel itself, but certainly in terms of the vessel's history, it was something that somebody did that was very clever, that really bought it goodness knows how long. And a lot of steel bolted to the wood.
Then we have some of the fine details.
Yeah, Maynard Bray sent this, and even though most of the rails, even in 1980, had been replaced, there's an original cap rail, and you can tell by the double beaded moldings on the cap rails, and those details we'll try to restore when we put her back together, and we want her to look as much as we can like she did when she was new, and the details often make it. This is a fabulous photograph of largely what was their original forecastle. I think there were upper bunks in there. There's signs of it in the ceiling and in the photographs, but there's the lower benches you can see that went up, and the table's been removed at that point. But much of the original detail in the galley is preserved in these photographs, which Maynard Bray took in 1980.
Oh, and then here, this one, I'm gonna have to pause my presentation because this is from South Bristol.
It's from Nancy Adams of the Beal Fishing in South Bristol.
Yeah, but the South Bristol Historical Society made it so you can't embed this video, so I have to show it to you this way. I think this will work though. Come on. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You have to listen to the ad, but that's all right. Yeah, now we've advertised for whatever that is.
Whatever the heck that was.
And here's the Beal. They're getting hauling a lobster trap before
Trying to get
this.
us away.
So hauling a lobster trap in a dory, which is something we've done a little bit. And you can see he's got a lean back there so he doesn't sink himself. And that's an old two-head lobster trap as opposed to a power trap. See, the heads are built into the ends of the bow-style two-head trap. He's bringing all the lobsters out, and then he's rebaiting, and there he is. And there's the Sylvina Beal loading sardines. They would different fishermen would have different harbors that they worked out of, and they could claim a cove, I think, with a dory and a net in it. You had to keep the dory with a net in it all the time. Once in a while, close off the fish in the cove, and then they bring them all in and get them into a bundle, and then along would come the carrier. And Charlie York, in his book Charlie York, Maine Coast Fisherman, describes this whole process. And he actually was in this area fishing in the 40s, and he described the process. He said, and along came the Sylvina Beal, and I was reading the book and I looked out, and there was the boat that he described laying in the creek. But they had these contracts where the canneries would pay for percentage of the fuel and different percentages of the costs, and so much for the fish. They would get a contract, and fishermen be able to sell to the canneries. And this fellow, I guess, is still around, and Nancy, hoping I get to meet some of these people, go back up to Booth Bay this year. We spend a lot of time in Booth Bay where the boat was built and where a lot of fishing. You see the sardines being picked up with a dip net, and winching the net up and swinging them in, pouring them in the hole. These boats were built with watertight compartments. You can see why. Fish are basically filling. Did you see that? Killed a lot of herring now. And we were really pleased last year at one point when it fell over on its side in the creek. I went aboard and a bunch of alewives, river herring, had swum into it, gotten trapped inside the boat and died. And the boat was built as a herring fishing schooner, and at 110 years old, from a sunken position at the bottom of the street, it was still killing herring. Some things are just, that's the way that's what they're meant to do, and they do it even from a dead position. Really, pretty amazing.
Some of the other pictures we had were a little more recent. This is after.
This is when Jeff Jones had her, and he actually sailed her to Venezuela before he sold her.
Is this Tahiti?
No, Venezuela.
Venezuela.
But that's him off the coast of Venezuela, tearing along at God knows what speed. And you can see from the way the bow is spraying there, I'd say she's 10 or 12 knots anyway. And he looked pretty happy at that moment. We can't wait to see Katie up there.
Yeehaw!
Driving that boat to victory at the Gloucester Schooner Race. So.
And then some pictures from whatever more recent refits.
These things need constant love.
And yeah, things are always being replaced and changed incrementally to keep them safe and sound.
Katie,
Yeah.
we're having trouble hearing both of you. When you started the video, it seemed like your sound, your narration cut down significantly.
Let me see.
That's better, the closer you get.
Well, we'll
Sorry.
lean in and yell.
Yeah, we can lean in and yell. We're good at that.
All right. All right.
Does that sound better?
Yes, it does. Yeah.
All right.
Good. Okay, so that's a bunch on the Beal. We have a bunch more for anybody who gets particularly interested and they want to see more. But also part of this has been all of the other boats in our lives. And so Harold had called me, or actually he gave my number to Walter, who runs the Double Eagle. The Double Eagle is a beautiful Down East lobster
Sunny
boat.
Hodgdon.
Sonny Hodgins from the 70s.
I think it was built as a scallop dragger, actually.
But he uses it as the ferry out to Baker's Island and back. I considered taking a shift as a captain aboard, but I realized that if I took on yet another job, my partner might actually kill me. And so, but I did go out with Walter on the Double Eagle, and he's
I've been
just
killed
great.
many times. It's okay.
He's wonderful. The boat it's just a great boat, and it was good to go out and see like another business model for a wooden boat, a traditional wooden boat, and what you can do with it, and how you take care of it, and how you use it. And that was a really great experience for me to go out and do that. And then here we have
Mary Barker's
video of the launch of the Wallace Foss. So if you've been following these, you know that the Wallace Foss was built in 1897. It's a tugboat that we have been doing work on.
historic tug.
And it is owned by a really nice gentleman named Jeremy, who's kind of had us stewarding it. So we
And
had
his
it.
whole family who sail on it with him.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. They're just wonderful people. And Gloucester Marine Railways did an enormous amount of work reducing the size of the fuel tanks and making more room in the engine room. And we worked with them to help them, facilitate that job, and painted it while it was in the yard and helped them get it fixed up and ready for another season.
And it's really cool seeing this whole other life to a wooden boat. Most of the historic boats that I know have a different kind of purpose, and this is his family's yacht. And he wanted something beautiful and unique and historic, and he got it.
Yeah, and the working character of the boat is very appealing to somebody with kids. If the kids get on a boat that's just a fancy yacht, it's one thing, but to bring kids up on an honest working tug and give them a sense of what that's all about is really a wonderful gift to the next generation. And we're strongly supportive of his efforts with this.
Yeah, it's been great to work on. It's like romantic, you get on that boat and you feel away because it's so old and it's so beautiful.
And watch out when young Demi gets a hold of that horn. It's pretty it's got quite the horn and a whistle.
Yeah, it's really great. So it was good to get that back in the water after a pretty long yard period. There's still stuff that needs to be done to it. But it'll be ready pretty soon for him to take his family out again. So that's great. And then this was my morning, actually. So I am operations manager at the Essex Shipbuilding Museum. And for about 2 years, a little bit less, the students from the Topsfield Vocational Academy have been building this Ben Garvey skiff. They've been doing it about a day a week. Through COVID, they still came. We had to split them into smaller groups. So 2 different groups of students came a day a week. So pretty slow going process to actually get it completed. And now this morning they launched it.
The kids are wonderful and the instructors are awesome. And it's just a great thing to see this.
Jeff Lane from the museum and Mark Webster from the Vocational Academy. I've been with these kids day after day and made this happen. And this is just like a proud moment for anyone in this community, is seeing these things happen and come together. So these kids built this. This is a sped up video of the launch process. So they launched it in a very old school way on rollers, and then they drove away down the river, and their parents took a chase boat. So we had the kids in one boat and the parents in another boat. And this beautiful skiff, which is absolutely perfect for the Essex River. It draws like absolutely nothing. It has an outboard engine that sits in a well. With the way the bow is built, they like really lose little room in the bow, so you could stuff it right full of kids and
Haul a kid right up over the bow too.
Yeah, and
rolling over.
haul a kid right up over. And they went out and they like played around the river and they had lunch and it was really great. And this is really the next generation of boat builders. And I think that that's one of the biggest things out of this whole experience is that this is a community, and it's really important that this doesn't end with Harold. It doesn't end with me, and it's not, and it isn't going to. These kids are carrying this on in one way or another, and this is the future. So with that said, we have so many thank yous. If we couldn't put you on the list, it is not because we forgot about you, it's because our page got too small. Thank you to the Mass Cultural Council, for Maggie Holtzberg, for the Shipbuilding Museum, Iron Tree Service, Harold's partner Mary Kay, and mine Jack, who have put up with our craziness. Maritime Gloucester, especially for this venue tonight, the Topsfield Vocational Academy, the Marine Railways, and Don King. You've probably seen us at Greens Point with the Ebbingers and Tyler King, the Wallace Foss.
It's Riverboat Works, but that's all right.
Oh, well, you didn't correct me before. So Riverboat Works.
But it's Montgomery's too. Anyway.
But really, everybody who has come to these talks, and we're done for about 3 months. We take a break, and then.
And hopefully I'll be standing.
Yeah, so we're gonna hope that in these 3 months we can get Harold back into his former glory, and not that you ever lost any glory, Harold. I'm sorry.
All right, it's getting a little thick here. Questions?
Anybody have any questions or comments or anything for the greater good? Let me stop this screen share so we can maybe see the pictures of people.
It's been delightful. Been a delightful series of lectures. It's terrific. Thank you, Harold, and thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Anyone have any questions about necropsies or?
Yeah, when are you gonna start the necropsy part? Any idea?
As soon as I can stand up.
All right.
Yeah. I gotta get so I can stand and walk and maybe wield a chainsaw.
Harold, was it a fracture or was it a slip disc?
No, it was a disc. Just
Yeah, I've suffered from that. I can relate.
Yeah, it's pretty common. It's still horrible though.
Yeah, no, it's no
One of the
fun.
common horrors.
A common horror.
Tell me, just not that I'm prescribing any medicines because I'm not a doctor, but I've used a Robaxin. It doesn't affect your thinking or anything else. It's a muscle relaxant that works just absolutely wonderful for it. I take it now every day, just one pill.
Wow. I try to avoid pills.
Yeah. Well, most people do it as I do, but this one really helps. It eases it for some reason. In any event, everybody's different. Everybody's back is different, but I can relate to the pain.
Any boat questions?
This is Roy Macaulay asking a question. Are you going to pull the boat out of the water and keep it out from now on, or how are you going to keep it?
Well, it's going to come out of the creek. It's bottlenecking the creek, so we are going to haul it up out of the creek, and we're going to lay we're gonna lay a new keel and haul enough of it out and put it on the new keel and have a seance or ceremony and transfer the living vibration from the old to the new, and keep her going.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, she will have to get out of the creek. She's and we're really looking forward to that. That'll be
Hey, what's going on in the shipbuilding museum now?
Oh, well, so we had that boat launch this morning.
Yeah,
And we are shooting to be open, a soft opening, not a grand opening, on June 19th.
Becky's in there.
Yeah, Becky's in there. Thank you, Becky. So a week
Thank
from
you.
Saturday, we should have a soft opening where we'll start to let people come through the exhibits and see all the work we've done. So we've really reinvigorated some of the stuff. I will, over the next winter, actually start with Harold's mentorship, working on putting the Evelina Goulart on the National Historic Register.
wow.
And there's been a lot of documentation of that boat already done by Eric Ronberg, which we're really grateful for. And so that's going to help us along the way. And there's a lot to learn. And I think in this whole process, it's a really valuable endeavor to get into. So we'll start doing that whole bunch of other stuff that'll drop as it comes.
Eric and many others.
Yeah, and many others.
Good. Well, thank you for these great
And-
presentations. These have been really interesting, and sorry the series is coming to an end for now, but look forward to it starting up again.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil.
And regarding the opening of the museum, a big shout out to Katie, who's been doing all kinds of new signage for the yard so that people can come and read and see what's what.
All right.
They're working very hard over there. Katie and a lot of others.
Yeah,
Some
not just
people.
me.
Yeah, I know, but I know you.
Yeah,
Yeah, lots of people. It's true. Tons of people.
Volunteer.
Clean up and get it ready.
Others.
all right. If anybody has any more questions,
And if you want to know where to find us or join us, Katie and I and the rest of the Ardell crew are going to be doing a lot of sailing this summer, and you can find out more about the Ardell at schoonerardell.com. But if you look at also on schoonerardell.com, we have a blog and a copy of our preservation plan, and also ways that you could help fund the Beal. But the most fun way to fund the Beal is to come sailing and on the Ardell, and it's fun for you and for us. So hope we see you on the water.
Do. Thank you.
Definitely. It says we're good for one ride at the Schooner Festival.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
It's usually what we do.
Yes, and we may win the festival with the Ardell too, but less likely than with the Beal.
The funny,
Usually
the strange thing is my boat's in Salem Harbor, and out of all the boats you built, the one I haven't had a ride on yet is the Fame.
Yeah, me too.
Get out sailing on the Fame too.
Yeah, I'll give him a try. I
Yeah.
wave to him every time he goes by me.
Yeah, he's very good at what he does. His presentation is amazing, and I learn
Thank you for
a lot when I go with him. So
thank you for entertaining us through the winter and spring. Get us through the now that we're in the summer. I'm ready to jump on the boat. You got me motivated.
All right. Hey, Lou.
Good night.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Job. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
All right. Well, I think we're
Thank you,
just
thank
about
you.
over.
Yep, I think that's
Bye.
the
Bye.
time. Goodbye,
Thank you.
goodbye, thank
Yep.
you.
Bye.